so awkward.
Hey, your tooth matches my shirt.
Oh yeah, we're matching.
Yeah.
Looking good.
It's funny. Well, toque is a Canadian.
Yeah.
They call it a hat in the U.S.
They call it a beanie in the
Oh,
US.
a beanie.
Not a hat.
Hat. They call it a hat too.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it's toque or beanie. Like we say toque, they say beanie.
I may be wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong.
All right. Well, welcome back. Conversation Wednesday.
Yeah.
Once again. Okay. Well, last week we talked about overwhelm. And so there say like, be careful what you ask for. Because I've got a lot on the go right now, right? There's many things happening, which is good. But again, I think, and I've been reading a lot about this lately, about the progression of growth. And so if we're growing, that usually means that we're doing either something different or something more than we've done before, which leads to overwhelm, right? So I'm going to go with it's a good thing. And definitely, I kind of like, I've heard this referred to as test days. So you have days that test you. It's like, how many things can you deal with? What can you get through? What are you capable of? What can you handle, right?
Yeah.
Do you have, I'm sure you have those.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Probably not as many as you do. But I definitely do have those days where it's very busy or I'm feeling tested. But I feel like almost every day for you, you're like,
different lately.
Today's been so busy.
Yeah. Well, it's the other thing, I've tried to stop using the term busy.
Right.
Because I'm trying to, just for my own reference, I'm trying to say productive, right? But I mean, busy is busy, but sometimes we're just busy for the sake of being busy. Like just having lots of things on the go doesn't always mean that we're moving forward, right? And sometimes, sometimes it's at, one step forward, two steps back on certain days, which we get tied down doing things that maybe aren't as productive. But I always hear, and they say like, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person, right? And which is amazing, especially within our business, with the real estate business, is some of the agents that are really doing a lot of transactions. They're helping a lot of people, or some of them have teams, some of them work on their own, but they always have a lot on the go. But yet, if I call them, if I run into them at the office, they make time to stop and chat, and they don't make, like the busy people or the productive people don't make you feel like you're interrupting them. And I think that's one of the keys towards being productive and successful, is like, it's like the duck on the pond where you don't see their feet like paddling below the surface, right? So there's a lot going on, but they're not showing it. And then that kind of willingness to help. So when I see other people acting like that are highly productive, that's always what I like to model myself.
It's good.
After, and fortunate to be able to hang around with a lot of people that are doing, that are very, in terms of, just productive in their lives on a daily basis. So that is good. Now, today, I want to talk about risk, taking risk. So what do you think, how do you feel about, would you call yourself a risk taker, or are you risk adverse?
I think I am risk adverse.
Is it adverse or averse? I think I said adverse.
I want to say it's adverse, but I actually don't know.
Okay, well anyways, it doesn't matter. Anti-risk.
Yeah.
So,
I think I lean more towards taking less risks.
Not taking risks.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's just the way I am. I definitely take some risks.
Well, you have your own business.
Yeah, that's okay, I guess.
For your age,
Yeah.
I don't think that many of your friends have their own businesses, right? So you've taken a different path than a lot of people in the videography.
Yeah, I guess you could,
things,
totally.
Right? So you've taken some risk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just feel like compared to you, I don't take
but it's different. So sometimes not taking a risk is riskier than taking the risk. And then if you're not, I guess, and if you want something more, or if you're not exactly where you want to be in life, or like if you have goals, then the only way to reach a lot of goals is to have to be taking risks.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about taking calculated risks, but sometimes we just you don't know. Don't know what the outcome is going to be, right?
And are you a risk taker?
I think I'm not afraid of taking risks in some areas, but there's other areas where I probably play it too safe. But I think, and I guess that probably comes down to areas that I'm more comfortable with or have experience in. But I also feel like not having my fingers into too many things is better. I feel like more of a progression in terms of like growth in skill and at my work, or even at the gym. It's like, or working out or running, it's like to focus on one thing more intensely, have a more intense focus on something
instead
rather
of just
than
like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, like, you know, like they say, like a jack of all trades, a master of none. I feel like, especially for me, because one of my goals is high income producing. Like I want to earn a high level of income.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, from my experience in looking at others, is there's usually requires some kind of specialty, right? Like you look at a doctor, and a general practitioner doesn't make as much as a brain surgeon, and because the brain surgeon has a very specialized skill set.
Right.
So to look at, you know, growth, and instead of trying to be all things to all people, to have a bit more focus, and then taking those risks, I guess, to progress through. But do you have, like, what about you in terms of your business growth or your path, that your next steps for you?
I don't really know what my next steps are, so that's kind of hard for me.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in a transition phase.
Okay.
I'm doing less weddings than I did last year, which typically you would do more with each year. But I've realized I kind of want to shift gears a little bit into other areas of videography. So a little bit less weddings and a little more of like other projects. But yeah, I don't know.
What got you into videography initially? How did that start?
Well, I've always liked taking videos of things. Like, it's just always been something that I enjoyed doing. But when I was in university, which I literally went for half a semester, so I don't know if it counts that I even went to university,
okay.
But while I was there, I was like so busy with all the homework, and I was just in general studies. I wasn't even sure what I wanted to do, so I was just taking general classes. And I saw this one person online, and they were saying they were making so much money from doing wedding videography. And it just sounded so fun because they got to pick their own hours, like they had their own business. They didn't have a boss, and which that really appealed to me. And also, it just sounded really interesting to me because like I love seeing people in love, and so that was just something that I thought, you know what, I could see myself doing that. Like I enjoy making videos, so I'm gonna try it out. And I filmed 3 weddings that first year, which was really good. And then I just fell in love with it. So,
was starting your own business and going through that startup phase and working through it, was it what you expected? Was it harder? Was it easier? Like, were there certain areas that you?
It's funny because I originally, when I started in 2022, I didn't want to be filming weddings for like another year. Like I didn't want to start filming any weddings until 2023 because I wanted to give myself enough time to like learn everything and learn my camera inside out. And so I was just doing like little shoots for people here and there. And one of my couples, I did an engagement shoot for them, and they said, you know what, we're gonna get married in just a few months. Like we're just gonna go straight to getting married. And they're like, can you film our wedding? And I was like, I don't really have any experience. And they're like, it's fine. Like we really like your work. So I was like, okay. So I ended up filming a wedding that year, just a few months into doing everything. So that was definitely a big risk for me because I had nothing to really go off of. Like, I didn't have any past work. There's not many people that are doing wedding videography, so it was definitely a little bit scary to have people trust me to film their most important day of their life. But it went really well. And then I ended up having more clients from that couple, and then I ended up filming 3 that summer, so
wow.
It was good. So that, I guess, I did take a big risk, and it turned out really well. And those are still some of my favorite wedding films to date, so.
Well, and some of that is, though, because you're coming in kind of raw and not, you have your own perspective and own identity and your own way of doing it that's not influenced by someone else that trained you to do it how they do it, right? So some originality, which I think is cool. But I think videography is one of those, it's like a learn by doing. Yeah. You can't get good at it unless you're doing it, right?
And I totally agree with that, but I just convinced myself that, I can just, learn from sitting at home and like hopefully figuring it out and then being ready. But yeah, I don't think I ever would have been ready to do it. You just kind of have to hope for the best and try it out.
And all right, well, I have another question for you. In terms of, what do you feel about, say, book smarts versus street smarts? Which is more valuable, do you think?
I think it depends.
Okay.
Because, I think book smart is very important, but I think street smart is also very valuable. I'd say I'm less book smart. I'm more of a creative person. I'm more of an empathetic person. I'm not very logical. And you're like the complete opposite. Right. But you're very book smart and I guess street smart too. So I guess it depends on what you want to do with your life, I would say.
I feel like a lot of the people, at least from my experience, I think there's more people that would have a successful and, say, fulfilling life, or at least what appears to be. And they're usually the doers. So I think which would lend more to the street smart. But I also think that sometimes the book smart side can fast track the street smart. So you still have to be willing to go out there and do, and like sales skills it can apply to so many different avenues or things that a person would do. But just relying on book smarts, like just knowledge, there's that bridging the gap between knowing something and then being able to go out and do it is 2 different things, right? And I've always found that fascinating, because it's like you can read something or read about something and understand it, have a good understanding and know it inside out, and then go and try to put it into practice into your own life, and it just doesn't translate. Like, it doesn't translate over, right? So but I guess that's part of growth, and everybody's different. But I give you credit for what you've done to go out, and I think you take risks for sure. Yeah. Sometimes, and really, like in most cases, what's the worst that can happen, right? We always have time on our side for the most part. Yeah. And so go and try something, and if you don't like it, then change, right? Yeah. But yeah, I do think that in that journey, when we have lots of test days along the way. And so that's what I wanted to have this week for my Wednesday wisdom, is talking about and recognizing those test days. Right. Those days when we question what we're doing, question everything, things go wrong or not how we had planned. Other people's problems become our problems. There's real challenge. And I really find that those days are sometimes like make it or break it, that really a person's character, at least my own character, really has to come through in order to get that. And so on the progression of growth and having more and growing personally or in a business, is recognizing those days as opportunities rather than as setbacks. Even though you could be set back by it, I think in the long run, to be able to handle them and to not let it completely take me out of the game or take you out of the game.
Yeah, and that's a good perspective. Like, I like how you call them test days instead of, I feel like people would just say, I had a really bad day today.
Right.
Like, and it would be attached with something negative, like I had a, you know, crappy day. But you're saying, well, I was tested today.
Yeah.
To see how much I can handle. So I kind of like that perspective of like turning it into something more positive instead of just labeling it a bad day and not using it for growth.
Be up for it, right? And it is literally, it's just a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll be look forward to the next test.
Yeah.
Even though while we're right in it, it may not be fun.
Yeah.
And we may like question our life choices.
Yeah.
But in the end, I think for the most part, we're probably better off to have experienced a challenging day. Because anytime that there is growth, there's going to be challenges, right? And I was talking about that today with a few agents. Just if you're trying to get somewhere that you haven't been before, whether it's in business or life, then you're going to have to do something that you haven't done before.
Yeah.
And anytime that we do that, there's going to be some discomfort, some overwhelm, some change.
Yeah.
But you can't get from where you are to that next point without going into that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on your mind today?
I don't know. I don't think so. How about you?
No, I think that's about it. I think we covered some good topics and I think I like to try to verbalize some of my thoughts because I don't know about you, but sometimes in my mind, things sound really good. And then what comes out of your mouth and it's like, or how you explain it, right? Yeah. It's just not the same. So I like to talk about these realizations that I have or challenges that I have and get your perspective on it too. I think it's interesting to hear that. Yeah. And I hope other people find it interesting as well.
Yes.
But that's it for today.
Yeah.
Thanks again for watching, and tell a friend if you liked it. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And please comment, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Awesome. Thanks again.